All right, Chair Gardner, we are.
That was exactly where I was trying to get to.
Okay.
A little more direct than I.
Well,
We're live.
to our March 24th meeting of the University of Utah Board of Trustees. I'm going to invite President Randall to present the tuition for academic year 25-26. And Jason, yes. We'll be on the Zoom to answer any questions.
Hey, Joe.
And I am delegating authority to our CFO to make the presentation today.
Okay, thank you. I think all of you either participated or reviewed the Truth and Tuition meeting. So much of what we have to present this morning is the same as that. However, since the Truth and Tuition, we had a discussion with the Commissioner's office to get some guidance on where we were headed. And there are a few changes that we have made from what was presented in Truth and Tuition. So let's start first going through the meetings that we've had and talking about the general student fees and where the changes are there. First of all, I want to thank Jason Atawaya and support from Allison and Sandy on shepherding through Truth and Tuition, all the other members that have helped with that, and the student general fee committee that Joe is a part of and other students along with Jason Atawaya helping to lead that. It's a lot of work that goes into thinking about this and what we're doing for our general fees and tuition. So if we look at this first page, this shows the meetings of the general fee committee, Truth and Tuition, and now the Board of Trustees meeting, and then finally you will have their meeting this week to approve this. Next slide, it shows the general student fees advisory board, who it's made of, and what fees we reviewed. I'm not going to. Next slide. This was the recommendation that came forward from the student fee committee and was shared at Truth and Tuition, where we were looking at increasing several student fees and then moving health services, mental health services, campus recreation, campus connect fees into tuition, eliminating the sustainability fee, and we will continue to fund that out of our other tuition funds. And then maintaining programs and services that have been traditionally funded by fee revenue. So they were suggesting, as you'll see highlighting in red, moving from 14 fees to 9 fees. If we go to the next slide, this shows where they were looking at the increases. They were also looking at an ASUU increase of 13%. If we move to the next slide, then we will see after our discussions with USHE, they looked at what we had here, made some recommendations based on their knowledge of the Board of Higher Ed and where other schools are going. And so the difference that they recommended is, first of all, that the increase on the ASUU fee was too high for 1 year, and they suggested that we lower that to 2.5%, which is a COLA increase, which would be $1.16 instead of $6. And then they suggested that retain the campus recreation as a fee rather than rolling that into tuition. If you look at the next page, this is how this would look with the USHE recommendation, which is the 2.5 for the ASU activity fee and not rolling the campus recreation fee into tuition. So the fees we would be rolling into tuition would be the mental health fee and Campus Connect, and then we would be eliminating the sustainability fee. So the total for new academic year rate with the increases proposed for mental health, ASUU, and that health services would come down to $1,111.48. Okay, so go to the next slide. And we'll see, this is just the summary of all of these, so you can see them individually and what the USHE recommendation would be. So any questions on the student fees side?
On the maybe Joe, on the ASUU activity fee, that's the one that funds a lot of the Yeah, all the student, a lot of the activity things that we've gone or seen in the past and they're specifically.
Mhm. So with the ACU activity fee, of course, there's events that colleges program, clubs, and other departments on campus. They all do programming, all do events. The ASU in specific is a fully ran events. And these are some of the biggest on campus, with Grand Kerfuffle and Red Fest being these giant concerts that pull thousands of students. So it has high attendance. But yes, it goes a lot towards events, but not just events, also to resources, any student projects, like the class gift. Mobile Feed You Pantry was solely funded through ASU's funding, and other things like club funding, travel funding experiences. If research students in the past, if they wanted to go to like a conference or be able to get some type of travel funding for their research paper and going and doing it something outside of the campus area, then they can get those types of funding from ASU. So events, huge part of it, but also club funding. And it literally just goes to whatever students want it to go to based upon different branches and student requests.
Any other questions on general student fees and what is proposed?
And how will that lower percentage increase affect you all?
The lower percentage,
Well, just
From
lower
UC's?
dollars, yeah. I mean, now you're gonna get 47.40 instead of 52.24 on ASU activity fees.
it makes it does, I mean, like,
Just do less or,
yeah, there's less freedom to what like we're able to fund if we have less money. The main thing that ASU feels most demand from is from clubs. Student clubs have registered clubs, RSOs have increased 20% in the last year. We went from a base range of 300 grand being requested of us by clubs to a big jump of 700 grand just in the last year. And that's because we've improved our outreach to clubs and being able to say, hey, we offer this to all clubs and for them to start requesting more. But, that type of jump has happened. And that's why we've started to try to increase it. Yes, it would be a bit of a difference from $6 to, I think it's the $2, yeah, or $1.16 that USHIA has provided. But that is who the vote goes to after trustees, right? And that has been their recommendation. They said they would entertain the idea of, with backed up with more data and so on, with benchmarks and so on that could be sent to them. They could entertain the idea of a $6 increase. But with the time provided that they've given us that recommendation, we have not had sufficient time to actually gather that at this moment.
I can say that part of the discussion at both at the board level for higher ed, as well as for the legislature around general student fees, is the discussion of whether these should be user fees or whether these should be general student fees. And so that's why here, I know that Nate Talley is on the line. I don't know if he wants to add anything, but I think at this point in time, being able to get the COLA increase would be a win.
thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Kathy. I would just reiterate that as you all are aware, there's been a considerable amount of legislative scrutiny on general fees over the past year, with more vocal positions proposing widespread conversion to general student fees. The Commissioner's Office has worked very hard to introduce some nuance into that policy conversation by pointing out that many general student fees support activities that are either core to the operating exercise of an institution, such as building fees, testing centers, and technology, or core to the success of students, such as mental health, physical health, and childcare offerings, transportation fees, among other fees. So as you've articulated here and deduced, the edge cases sort of fall under those fees that are most discretionary or that have a wider array of uses. And those are the sorts of fees that the Commissioner's Office is recommending with nominal increases this year so that we can continue that public policy conversation with the legislature.
Okay, any other questions about student fees? Okay, let's move on and talk about tuition. This slide shows the recommended 3.77% increase in tuition that was shown at Truth and Tuition, and you can see that for both undergraduate resident, non-resident, and graduate resident and non-resident, and what the difference would be. If we go to the next slide, this shows the proposal that we had once we had discussed with Yushi for a 3.37% increase in tuition, with the big difference being not rolling the campus recreation fee into tuition, with it staying with a general student fee. So then if you go to the next slide, it shows the difference between those. Oh, fine. Okay. The how increases, that one. Let's see if that's it. So how increases are used, just so this will be broken down for you, is to cover the university's required legislative match for salary. So if you remember, they've given us the 2.25% increase in salary and benefits. They fund 75% of that. We fund 25% of it. So we calculate that into addressing faculty promotion and retention. We request an additional increase to help cover those costs. And then supporting student services is the other use of it. And then responding to unforeseen increases in operational costs due to rapid inflation. If you go to the next slide, this shows you the comparison between what was proposed and what we are doing with Yushi. And you can see this broken down by each of the areas that we are looking for the increase. So the piece that is the match for our tuition increase, the piece for additional benefits to help cover that, the piece for faculty salary adjustments, promotion, retention, and then the student fee conversion.
I just want to make sure everybody understands that the real net impact this year on increase in tuition fee is 2.19%. Well, I mean, in
Correct.
terms of tuition, yeah, the rest is just a conversion of
Okay.
student fee to the
Right.
rest.
So when you combine fees and tuition together, it will come out about that 2.19. Okay, any questions on this page? Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, now we'd like to step through the differential tuitions, and all of these are just as they were presented in Truth and Tuition. So I know that we have Brad here. If there are any further questions around the executive MBA tuition proposal. If not, we can go to the next slide, which is the professional and online MBA tuition proposal. Again, the same as what was presented at Truth and Tuition. If there are no questions, the next slide, which is the specialty masters. Again, no changes from Truth and Tuition. And then the next slide, the change for tuition in the Masters of Business Creation. Again, for business school. And again, no changes. So any questions on these increases for the business school? Okay, let's go to the next request. This is for a change for the College of Nursing. And basically what they're proposing is changing from a program fee for a semester to tuition differential. It's less than the 3% increase to cover rising costs. You can see between where they had a program fee before at $7,355, now $7,560. And again, this is the same that was presented at Truth and Tuition.
So you're saying, sorry, that they're doing the differential tuition
Correct.
as well. They always have.
I
Always
believe
had.
they've always had, but this is kind of converting that program fee into differential, which makes more sense. Okay, the next one, College of Science, they have had a differential in tuition and they are looking to increase that from $60 to $85 per student credit hour. Again, no change from what was presented in Truth and Tuition. And if you go to the next slide, there's some more data around the College of Science. and comparisons. Okay, any questions on College of Science? Okay, let's go to the next slide. These are new online programs and the tuition that they are requesting. An anatomical health sciences graduate certificate, the Price College of Engineering with a master's in construction engineering and transportation infrastructure certificate, and College of Social and Behavioral Sciences, their master's in financial planning and counseling. And again, all of these were presented in Truth and Tuition. Okay, that should bring us to the end of what we have shown you, so you can see where the changes were in the general student fees, the changes of what we're proposing in tuition, the combining of some of the general student fees into tuition, differential changes for the various entities, most of those being in business, nursing, science, engineering, and then the new online program. So we'll be looking to approve the general fees. Then we'll look at approving the tuition and all of the differential tuitions and fees for the online programs. So any questions before we go for a motion? And I'll turn things back over to.
I do have a quick question.
Sure.
Say like, what's a quick, like, say justification for the, especially the MBA program to be raising? I mostly just asked that because.
Is that where you're headed?
What do you say?
Is that where you're headed?
No. I'm just curiously asking because, you know, business school, they're according to like the fees comparatively to other colleges, is it's just already like a bit more expensive.
Mhm.
And you know, I'm not a graduate student. I'm not in that space, but I would love to just hear
Yeah.
if there's like a quick.
So Brad?
Sure, I'm happy to answer that. First thing, it's important to notice on those MBA programs, they're 2-year programs. So that tuition will be locked. If somebody starts this fall, it will be locked for 2 years. So it's really a 2-year increase. If you think about it, there will be no increase while they're students. Second thing is the majority of those are working professionals. Like 75% of those MBA students are working professionals or more. So they have jobs, they have benefits, they're coming on the evenings, they're coming on weekends. The other thing that's important to notice is that the outcomes are significant, right? Most of those MBA programs are well over $100,000 in jobs, and the success of what they have post-graduation is really, really strong. But if you go through competition, where we're at with our competition, where we're at with faculty, quality of the programs and rankings, I think these are programs that really can support the higher cost structure that's going on in MBA world right now.
Okay.
That help?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just a quick question, just what's the full rate then for the full-time MBA? I got the increase, but it doesn't say.
It ends up being about $74,000.
Or what is it for, what have we got here per semester?
For 2 years.
20,000. So it's
For 2 years.
74,000?
Yeah.
Divided by,
2 years, so it's roughly
36, no, it's
35,000 a year. If you look at it
18,000
annually.
a semester. I was just trying to do a comparative with these others. You know, with the executive, they just said what it was for the semester, so. I was just trying to get a sense of how it fits. So I'm looking at, if I did my math, really like 18,000, 19,000. So it's more than the online
Yes,
and the
it's a
professional,
longer
but less
program.
than the executive.
Yeah, the full-time MBA is 62-hour program.
Uh-huh.
The professional, the online, and the executive are 48-hour programs. So it's a little bit longer because because they do take 18 hours a semester, roughly between 16 and 18 hours a semester for 4 semesters.
Uh-huh.
They have more academics in the full-time MBA than they do in the part-time or working professional MBA program.
Yeah, those guys are less likely to be working, more likely to be working part-time. So and younger.
And the full-time MBAs are higher scholarshiped. So we have more scholarships for the full-time MBA. So the net collected on the full-time MBA is lower than the other 3 because of the scholarships.
Okay, so their net tuition is probably,
What's that?
their net tuition is less.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to keep that in balance. I know that the executive MBA can usually command a little higher pricing and absorb it better. I'm just trying to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no other
Okay, we'll do
questions, I'll
fees
turn it
first.
back over to you. Yes.
All right, Joe, would you like to comment any more on student fees before we go to a vote?
Only thing I'll say is, this is something we've had all the people over these fees present to us and the advisory board, which I co-chair on. And it's been very insightful for each fee and to explain what they do, if they're doing an increase, what the increase is for, and how that increase will impact specifically the resource that could be very valuable to our students that need to graduate and what they resource to. And so just want to say it's been something we've studied a lot and I've also talked to Yushi about and feel confident moving forward with the information.
Okay, with that,
Kathy, do you want that slide up? Are you okay with this last? You want these slides?
No. That would be based on
Okay.
questions.
is there a motion to approve the proposed student fee for academic year 2025 through 2026?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second on this motion?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the proposed student fees for the academic year 2025 and 2026. Any debate or discussion? If not, I will call for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Let me just, I wonder if we might amend, I think the original proposal for the business programs was for 2-year approval. Is that correct? Brad?
Correct. Yeah. It was 2025, 26 and 26, 27. Similar to what we did last year
For the
Tuition.
For the
for
tuition.
the tuition,
This was for student.
for 2 years for those,
There's nothing for student fees, this is tuition.
just
Right.
tuition.
Okay, so do we need to throw that into the motion?
Yes.
So,
Please.
okay, so going to,
For both fees and tuition.
It's
Yeah,
not-
that'd be just tuition
It's
for,
not a general student.
it's not a,
It's just tuition.
just tuition.
The fee approval
For the
is
MBA
done.
programs.
That's okay. Now we'll go on to tuition.
I think we're good, Chris.
Yeah. so on tuition, do we have a motion? And the motion would need to be for a motion for the approval and including the business schools for 25, 26, and 26 and 27. Can I make the motion?
Yeah, and all the
Okay,
different.
that I just made the motion that we
So the motion would be to approve tuition increases,
for 25 and 26. and
differential increases for 25, 26, and then the business school tuition.
For 26, 27,
And the new online programs
the new online program.
and their tuition.
Is that clear? Do we need to do it again? Okay, is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay,
It's on.
we have a motion and a second to approve the proposed tuition for academic year 25, 26, and for the business schools 26 and 27 online. Any debate or discussion? Not hearing any. I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay,
One opposed? Are you opposed?
Yes, too.
Okay. Two tuition increase. Okay.
okay. Thank you all very much.
We should adjourn.
And yeah, let's get this one for motion to adjourn. Second. Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any.
Joe was there all day long.
Thank you.
Come on, let's take a few minutes.